July 3, 1863, the Confederacy's last hope at Gettysburg ended in devastation and flames. Pickett's Charge, a fatal attack remembered as General Lee's gravest mistake. But imagine if it hadn't failed. What if the South's loss was not because of Union firepower, but due to fatal illusions held by the Confederates themselves? Tonight, we reveal 5 false beliefs the Confederacy embraced, myths so destructive they ensured Lee's army's downfall within hours. Falsehoods about unbeatable soldiers, flawless plans, and a deadly refusal to see reality. Before we dive in, please like and subscribe to support our channel community. On July 3rd, the Confederates targeted the center of the Union line under General Hancock's command. Many historians argue that the strike aimed at a small cluster of trees on Cemetery Ridge. However, Porter Alexander contended that Lee's choice of this target was a serious error. He said the site for Pickett's Charge was one of the worst choices possible. The attack occurred along the shank of the Fishhook Formation, which exposed Confederate troops to enfilading fire from almost the entire Union line. Additionally, that shank curved slightly forward near Little Round Top, leaving the advancing soldiers vulnerable to direct rifled cannon fire from Union artillery. Without adequate cover or artillery support during the advance, Alexander saw this position as a major tactical mistake. He suggested an alternative approach. In Alexander's view, any skilled military engineer would have chosen to strike at the bend of the Fishhook just west of Gettysburg. From there, Confederate forces could avoid enfilading fire and instead deliver it against Union positions at closer range. An attack at that spot would have faced less than half, or possibly even less than a quarter, of the fire they encountered on the shank. He believed this tactic would have greatly lowered Confederate casualties by turning the Union's artillery fire back onto them. Alexander found his point strong enough to argue for a different strategy, though he admitted he never personally surveyed this alternate terrain. The night after Pickett's Charge failed, Alexander shares a tale from General Imboden about a talk he had with General Lee. Lee expressed deep sorrow to Imboden, saying, "Yes, it has been a sorrowful day for us. I have never seen troops act more heroically than Pickett's Virginians did today in that bold charge against the enemy. If they had received the support they were meant to have, but for reasons not yet explained to me did not, we would have held that ground and won the day." Lee appeared convinced that Pickett's division was supposed to receive backing from other units. Alexander identified the forces he believed were intended for this support role. Which troops were these? Wilcox's brigade, with about 2,000 men, and Anderson's division, numbering around 6,000. There seems to be no other reasonable explanation. Though official reports remain unclear, it appears some brigades from Anderson's division were planned to bolster Pickett's right flank. Unfortunately, these reinforcements arrived only after Pickett's brigades had already been forced back. This lack of timely flank support left Pickett's men vulnerable. Alexander emphasized that the charge was not defeated by the front line alone, but overwhelmed by flank attacks and enemy reinforcements. Citing a report from Union Colonel Hall, Alexander stated, "This clearly admits that both Hall's and Webb's brigades were being pushed back when reinforcements arrived to aid them." He argued that if 5 more Confederate brigades had supported the charge, the outcome could have been different. Alexander did not blame anyone for the delay, but insisted the support column should have advanced alongside Pickett's and Heath's units, expanding the assault from 9 to 14 brigades. While unsure if this guaranteed victory, Alexander posed a question. Could even more support have been added? He suggested Ewell might have contributed 8 brigades plus much of his artillery. Alexander then imagined the impact of such a combined force. An attack aimed at the bend of the Fishhook Formation with artillery from all 3 corps coordinated together to enfilade Federal positions, including the missing howitzers. He wrote, This would have turned our assault column into a kind of armor-piercing weapon, potentially breaking deep into Meade's center and causing a panic. Considering what was achieved under poor conditions with only 9 brigades, Alexander believed this gave hope for what might have been possible with 22 brigades positioned better and supported by stronger artillery. Both Lee and Alexander thought proper reinforcements could have changed the battle's result, but the true answer remains unknown. If Alexander was correct in claiming Lee expected support for Pickett's division, why were his orders not carried out? Alexander blamed a lack of trained staff officers. He insisted someone on the general staff should have ensured Lee's commands were executed exactly as intended. Reflecting on this, Alexander said, "Ultimately, I link our defeat in this battle to the shortage of competent staff officers." He argued the Confederate Army lacked not only capable military engineers, but also suffered from weak staff organization overall. This weakness, he believed, led to many orders being given verbally instead of in writing, increasing risks of errors or misunderstandings. For example, historians still debate the meaning of Lee's verbal order to General Ewell to take that hill if practicable. Alexander suggested this vague command might have been one of the most critical mistakes of the campaign. He speculated no one was clearly assigned to lead Anderson's division in support of Pickett's charge, leaving Wilcox to decide on his own. Alexander argued a written order outlining the charge specifics would have prevented any chance of oversight or confusion on so vital a matter. Though he admitted uncertainty over whether more forces would have changed the outcome, he remained convinced that unclear orders definitely weakened the Confederate effort. In his final observations, Alexander points to a deeper issue behind the Confederate defeat at Gettysburg. From Stuart's late arrival to the failure of Pickett's charge, he argued that flawed decisions at the highest levels of command critically weakened the Confederate cause. Whether the Union's victory at Gettysburg was primarily due to superior coordination among Federal staff and commanders remains debated and uncertain. Alexander offers much food for thought when reflecting on what went wrong for the Confederates at Gettysburg. Yet, as with many wars, success or failure rarely depends on a single moment, but rather a chain of choices or missed actions. Individually, these events might seem minor, but collectively, they reveal key insights into what truly happened during those pivotal days. The hard times come again no more. Alexander recounts that Lee had planned for the Confederate assault on July 2nd to start by 10 or 11 a.m., yet the attack was delayed. Longstreet initially requested a postponement to allow the last brigade of John Bell Hood's division, led by General Evander Law, to arrive. Law's brigade reached the field near midday. Afterwards, to avoid detection by Union scouts, the Confederate force was ordered to take a longer, more roundabout route, adding an extra 4-hour delay. Alexander criticized this decision, saying it was unnecessary. He explained that he had identified a faster route where troops could have reached their positions in only 1 hour. He recalled, "Of course, I informed the officers at the front about the route my artillery had taken and was clearly visible, but nobody with authority changed the orders." New instructions were eventually given, but only after much delay. Alexander later reflected that if the Corps had attacked just 3 hours earlier, the chance of success would have been much greater. He believed Longstreet's earlier assault could have won a decisive Confederate victory. The delay allowed Union forces, especially the 5th Corps under General Meade, to secure Little Round Top, a critical high ground. This position played a vital role in enabling Union troops to repel later Confederate attacks. The chain of delays and mistakes highlights how essential timing and coordination were to Lee's battle plan. Alexander's account exposes not only logistical failures, but lost opportunities that might have altered the battle's result. Despite Lee's confidence in his army, these postponements gave the Union time to strengthen defenses and hold key ground. Ultimately, these factors heavily influenced the Confederate defeat on July 2nd and helped set the stage for the wider loss at Gettysburg. So, was the Confederacy's defeat at Gettysburg sealed by blood or by blindness? Porter Alexander gave us clues: a suicidal charge, absent reinforcements, and orders that vanished on the wind. But the true tragedy was not merely Pickett's men marching to their deaths. It was a rebellion so intoxicated by its own myths, it failed to see the cliff edge, even as it fell. Lee's invincible army was not defeated by Union cannons. It was undone by arrogance. To commanders who ignored engineers, to generals who wagered lives like poker chips, to a cause so hollow that even its victories were built on shifting sand. Yet remember Pickett's charge, remember the cost. 5 lies that destroyed 15,000 men in a single afternoon, and ask yourself, what falsehoods are we holding on to today? Which histories will we condemn tomorrow?